Hello fans of Moshpit Passion, my name is Kayo. In front of me Björn from the Night Flight Orchestra. The guys released a new record which came out last week. This is this right here. It's called, I hope I pronounced it right, Aeromantic.
Perfect.
And we will talk about this, also a bit about the band and the current tour. And the first question about this is Aeromantic. Who came up with this idea? What I found very interesting is there's a definition on the backside, and there are three different ones. But yeah, who came up with this concept or idea?
I came up with the title. Can't really remember when, but it was at a pretty early stage, I would say. And I think it just captures everything about this band, you know, the concept that we have and sort of our travel romanticism running through everything. And, you know, especially with this album, where sort of the concept where we capture the golden era of flying, and we have all these sort of personal stories that we put in a different setting, you know, and this time we're mostly in the air and not so much up in space.
Yeah.
But also, you know, just sort of daily, everyday stories that we like to put in a more interesting setting, and I think this title really captures the band's sound and sort of the cinematic approach we have to creating music as well.
I really like the first definition. I will read it. It's a mythical creature in ancient Babylon who sacrificed its soul in exchange for getting wings and the ability to fly. Now, if you take this metaphor and apply it to yourself or the band, what did you sacrifice to, I don't know, to reach something or to get something? Do you have maybe some kind of story which is coming up in your mind?
Well, I would say that being a touring musician is quite a sacrifice in itself, but it's also a labor of love. You know, it's something that I feel very privileged being able to do, you know, full time, and I've been doing it since 2003. Yeah. And but you know, that being said, there's a lot of sacrifices to be made on that journey, you know, and whether it being, you know, family, friends, and sort of, you know, also relationships, it's hard, you know, and but at the same time, I feel extremely blessed being able to sort of have my wings and being able to be, you know, be in motion as much as we are, you know, and for that you need a perfect soundtrack, and I think that's what we based this whole band around as well.
So maybe you can give us an insight how your schedule and planning structure look like. For instance, you, David, you're playing Solberg, playing Night Flight Orchestra. David, he's also a doctor, has his day job. Also, you have family, he has family, etc. And so when do you sit together and structure a year? For instance, this year is planned like a Night Flight Orchestra. Next year will be a mix of, I don't know, Solberg, Night Flight Orchestra, etc. pp. So how did this work out?
Well, I mean, it's hard to plan everything out, obviously, and like you mentioned, we have two bands that we're both in, but I think we managed, you know, to sort of divide things more, because last year was pretty intense, you know, we even did 3 festivals with both of the bands, same day, just 1 hour in between, so that was interesting to say the least. So this year is pretty much going to be about the Night Flight Orchestra. We're going to do some solo shows here and there, and also release 3 singles, but no full tours. And I think that, you know, I think that's the best option for everybody involved, you know, and to not try to cram everything in at the same time. It's just not good for us. And I think, you know, both me and David, we need both of the bands in our life, you know. We feel like we have the best of both worlds, so we sort of want to treasure that, you know, and give each band the attention it deserves. So, but it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. But
also everything is getting bigger. I mean, this tour is the biggest for Night Flight so far. Would you call Night Flight also your vacation band still?
No, maybe not. I mean, it is a vacation in a way, and I think I also feel that with soul work sometimes. You know, it's hard when you get home and, you know, you're happy to be home and go back to somewhat of a normal routine, you know, and then, you know, you get a little bit restless, and so I guess touring with both bands is in a way sort of a vacation.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just two different musical expressions.
Yeah.
So I think that's especially where you get to channel all of your different personas, so to speak. You know, and I think both bands represents me in a very good way and what I'm about. You know? So that alone is really cool. You know, to be able to do that. You know, and
definitely. I mean, since I saw he will play in the USA just one date until so far, in September.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy, for instance, that the people in Finland, they put on social media some kind of, how do you say, campaign on it, that you will also play more shows there, because it's just until now one single concert or festival gig, though, that also Night Flight is getting bigger, the people they want, there's a need for you. Isn't it somehow crazy? How do you feel about that?
I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, there's definitely a demand, and I think that's because, you know, we're definitely filling a void in the music scene. It feels like we're on a mission, providing something that's missing out there, and I mean, we've seen the interest growing a lot the latest 2 years, especially, and you know, we're building up quite a fan base in Australia as well, and who knows, we might go there as well, and also South America is really liking the band. So it's all over the place. So it's going to be interesting to see where this will take us, you know, and we're excited. Yeah.
Nice. I want to talk a bit about the recording process, because your keyboarder Richard Larsen, he left the band. Did this had some kind of impact on the songwriting or recording process? I don't know on which stage it was when he left.
Well, it was sort of like in the middle of the recording session, and it didn't have that much of an impact. You know, he still played on the record, and fortunately had to focus on you know, his day job. He's also running a studio, and things didn't really work out in the end. So we also had John coming in, you know, doing some of the keyboards, and you know, just about anyone in this band also plays keyboards. I mean, except me, maybe, but I actually ended up playing some keyboards in the album as well. Don't ask me how that happened, but so I don't think it had a, you know, sort of a bad impact on the recording, and you know, maybe quite the opposite, because we had something really, you know, something really good going, and we're really excited about it, and so we kept recording, because we have all these recording sessions. It's not like we booked 6 weeks in the studio and finished the whole album. So it's always an interesting journey, you know, to put together an album and find the perfect flow. It needs to be very diverse, but all the songs somehow needs to be connected. So it's that's always, you know, a hard task, but a very interesting one.
So how was it for you to work with the ABBA gear? I mean, was it like, oh, that's the holy grail, don't smash too hard the drums, or something like that, or how did you feel?
Well, basically, I think it was just Per Lindvall, who used to play in ABBA, and he was recording in the same studio, and I think he just left the drum kit there. And the studio owner reminded him, it's like, oh, the kit is still there. It's like, I'll pick it up sometime. So it was still there, and then the studio owner told us that, well, I mean, it's here, you might as well use it. You know? And of course, we were really excited about that. And obviously, Jonas, you know, playing the drums, that must have been a really great feeling.
So was it for him something like the full cycle is closing? Because I know ABBA, they're from Sweden, you're from Sweden. That's an instrument which he played. It's also a big impact, like you said. ABBA is an influence of the band, or Jonas, etc. That is some kind of full circle was closing.
Yeah, I guess in a way. And it was a really great feeling, and obviously a very big inspiration to the band, especially, you know, songwriting wise and arrangement wise, and how they always sort of, you know, had sort of complex arrangements, but still you know, spoke directly to the listener, which is really interesting. So it's so it's full circle, I guess.
I want to talk about different influences, and for instance, one of your songs is called, I hope I pronounce it right, Divinyls, and Divinyls is also a band from Australia. And is it also the connection between the song title and the band in the first stage?
There is a little bit of a connection, and as I wrote that song, and I was at my parents' place, and I came up with this melody, and I also realized that, you know, the night before I was watching their performance at the US Festival 1983, and they're doing The Boys in Town. And the live version of that song is just incredible. The performance is outstanding, and so I think that subconsciously inspired me. You know, the next day, because I had, you know, I was in the sort of mood to write something, and then I came up with this melody, and then I wrote everything around it in like 2 hours, and so I just gave the name Divinyls as a working name, and then when we mixed the album and we're going into mastering, you know, it's like I was asking David, should we come up with a name for the song, or it's like, and he said, no, just call it Divinyls. It's a nice little tribute. I was like, yeah, why not? You know, because we love that band. So.
What I really like about your sound is that bands from that time, from the 80s, 70s, they got, I want to say, covers or remix like 15 years. It was very, very popular. If you go into a disco, there was always some kind of remix. And is it for you also something like to exaggerate things, like that you do a remix record or like an EP with, let me say, dubstep, house music, your own songs, remixed that in a way in the future?
Hard to say. I mean, I'm open to suggestions. Been some people showing interest, but I mean it depends. You know, there's so many styles and there's so many things you want to do. You know, so it all depends. You know, but I guess we'll see.
So besides your music, also the visual appearance is one of the key elements of your band. And what I found interesting is every single music video which you release, there is not a performance video. It is an own story. And always is a woman in there. I know woman is also a topic of you, like a record from the last one is also about females and women. And is there a special reason for this time that you said, hey, we don't do any performance videos, we are just doing like, or is it more like storytelling, etc.? Is there a specific reason for it?
Well, it is about storytelling and creating a vibe, and I also think that maybe me and David got sick of the whole sort of performance sort of vibe in a video, like that whole concept. We've done it so many times, and it's always a warehouse and it's chains hanging from the ceiling and blah blah, and there's smoke coming from the metal scene. So I think we wanted to do something different with this band. There has been videos where we're actually performing, but after a while it's like, no, let's try to tell a story as well, and let's have a lot of like dancing, you know, in the videos. We have this Ella Snellman who's in a lot of our videos. She's like a real dancer extraordinaire, so I think she will keep on doing stuff for us.
Okay. Because I thought in the first way it's like that people get more attracted, like how is the band looking, because you have a visual appearance on stage with the clothes, etc. The people say, I don't know how the guys look now into their music videos. For instance, Slipknot, they have every record in new masks, new suits. Everybody wants to see that, and I personally think Night Flight Orchestra is something similar with your appearance, that you want to hide it, like to say, hey, if you want to see us, how we look like, and or maybe our stage production is like, come to our show.
I know, that's sort of what we feel as well. You know, it's two different things. You know, and yeah, like you said, if you want to see what we look like, come to our shows, and hopefully you won't be disappointed. But we try hard to you know, deliver a show, and we like having a full concept, and that's what I always like, you know, growing up as well. You know, I got really attracted to bands that had like not only the good songs, but the whole, you know, sort of image and gimmicks and all that. So yeah.
Is there different when you play in a club or on a festival? I saw you 1.5 years ago in my hometown in Essen at the Dort open air, and there was was more or less in daylight in there, and not like here you have a full production with light, etc. But is it also, when it comes to the new record, where you thought, hey, you will also play here at the Rock Hard Festival this summer, how you can bring the concept also on the daylight, on festival run, something like that?
Well, I mean, it is hard to bring a full production when we play in daylight, which is usually the case. We're not really getting any like headliner spots at festivals yet, so yeah. I mean, if I could choose, it's it's better to play in the dark or in a club, or it's usually a better setting. But then again, when I think back, it's like when I go and look for live videos from like the 70s and 80s, I always want to see the bands in daylight for some reason.
Crazy.
I don't know why, but there's something special about that as well. It's something very raw, and you see how people actually look.
Yeah.
But if I get to choose, I would like to play in the dark. I think that's the best setting for the band. But it also depends on the venue and stuff, so.
Nice. So another point is, I mean, you released 5 records, and until now, not every country or not everybody had the possibility until now to see you live. Do you plan maybe a live record, for instance, that you rock hard? One example, they record every band, and then you apply your style, the 80s styles, with all the glitches and the colors, etc. Is that something which is also in the making, or something like that?
I mean, I would like to do not maybe the typical like live show. I would like to do like a concert film, sort of like Paul McCartney and the Wings over America, something like that. Even ABBA did, ABBA in the USA and Japan, stuff like that. I think that's what I would like to see myself. So I think maybe that's something we could create. So
nice. I see, unfortunately, our time is running out. There's one question left, because our magazine is called Moshpit Passion. I know Night Flight Orchestra is not the band to mosh for, but is there something, maybe something crazy, what you saw in the past, like, oh man, they're really moshing, or someone is going wild crazy, something like that?
Well, I mean, it's always interesting to see, because we have a very mixed crowd, we bring a lot of people that normally wouldn't go to the same shows, which is beautiful. It's a very uniting band in that sense. So, I mean, I've seen people wearing, Behemoth and Watain patches and starting to dance, and it's almost like, what is happening to my body? I don't know what's happening, and they start dancing. It's beautiful. I love it.
Crazy.
So, and obviously the conga train that we always do, and
nice.
So it's always interesting every night.
Nice, Björn. Thank you very much for your time, for the interview. For all you out there, this is their new record. It's out now. Please support them. Also on social media, they are around summer on playing different festivals. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe also to our channel. Thank you very much. See you next time, guys, and bye.